Okay, here's Gene Cross. He's one of our orchid collection management volunteers. He's also an engineer. We're doing a trial run for how we're going to wrap this plastic around the box. And he's thinking that perhaps packing tape would be the best way to attach the plastic wrap. So it only has to be wrapped for 2 weeks. So it doesn't need to be a piece of cardboard or even a piece of wood. We think this will be a fine temporary solution. So we're working on that to see if we can do it then for the rest of the houses. And we have another assistant here. This is Shala. She's one of the orchid collection volunteers. She helps with a lot of the orchid repotting, and she's also assisting us as we develop some sort of a makeshift cover for the bluebird box hole. We are pairing the two boxes about 2 feet apart so that we can see if, by having two boxes available, since bluebirds are fairly shy birds, if the bluebirds are going to be more likely to come to a box where they have two options versus if a more aggressive bird such as a wren takes the box, the bluebird would be out of luck. So that's what we're hoping to find through this experiment. And so we will have the two boxes paired together, facing away from the prevailing wind. And also it's also going to be a nice educational tool for us. So we're going to develop an education program related to bluebird conservation and habitat maintenance, and hopefully we'll have that up and running in the spring so that we can start recording our results of our bluebird population. We worked with Richard Gies at Longwood Gardens. Longwood has 40 years of expertise working with bluebird populations, and we used Dick, who is one of the main volunteers who work on the Bluebird Project at Longwood Gardens, and he actually designed these custom-made green roofs for the boxes. Several years ago, Longwood had a very warm summer. They're in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, and noticed that the last hatchlings were actually cooking inside the box before they hatched because the temperature was so hot. So what Richard was experimenting with is if you put a green roof on top of the box, will that make the internal temperature cooler than if it didn't have a green roof? And what they found through a couple years of experimentation was that yes, by having a green roof on top of the box, the internal box temperature was reduced by about 6 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit. So we definitely feel as if it's an important component to the box, as well as how aesthetically pleasing the plant. Again, these green roofs are planted with mid-Atlantic varieties of succulents. I think one of the primaries is sedum. The purpose for that is that they're low maintenance and very tolerant of drought, and also they're planted in a gravelly type of mix. We worked with a green roof developer to design the material for these houses and also the plant material. So we're very confident it's going to be very successful for us. So here we go, we're putting them out on the bench just to acclimate them. We're trying to put them as close together as possible so that if a big wind gust comes by, they don't fall over and some of the mix empties out, because the mix, they're still rooting, so the mix isn't in there 100% strongly. So Shala is unwrapping the plastic. We're getting ready to mount the boxes on the post today. They're looking great. They've been acclimated to the outdoor conditions. It's been, I think we've had a couple low 40-degree nights.
Oh yeah.
So they're looking great. They don't seem affected at all coming out of the greenhouse. You can see we've got a little cardinal who's along for the ride. It should be a bluebird, but it's actually a cardinal. But that's someone trying to poke a little bit of fun at us. But we're very happy. Today is the day. We just got the last two posts mounted this morning. They're concreted in, and we are ready to get started. Okay, we just had a little bit of trouble in our vehicle. One of them tipped over. We thought they'd be fine. I guess I was driving a little too quick. So what we're going to do is, and two of these boxes are going to go downtown in our urban bird habitat. So, and they're not going yet. So probably one of these is going to have some time to root back in. Do you need help? So Elizabeth.
Now somebody look to the back.
Okay, it's all fine.
Okay, and this is just the new piece that we
Oh,
just
okay,
put in.
good. So it was just like a carpet. It just popped right out, and it's popping right back in. So there's no worries. No need to be alarmed. Elizabeth and Shala save the day. We won't let Katrina see that. She's my intern who planted them, and she was very proud of her work. And that probably freaked her out a little bit, but everything's fine. She'd be like, "Oh my God!"
Everything's fine.
Everything looks great. Okay, here's Eugene Cross. He's our engineer on this project. He is figuring out the best way to stabilize the boxes to the posts. We have some bolts already attached to the boxes, and we're just going to get ready to anchor them to the telephone poles. Or I'm sorry, to the signposts. We are going to anchor the boxes to these signposts. Okay, here we go. There's Eugene and Shala mounting the box. We're putting it flush against the post. And he's got a couple extra bolts so that we can tighten it. You can see it's paired with the box behind it, and we're facing away from the prevailing winds. Okay, Elizabeth, what we're going to do is we're going to measure the distance from the entrance of the box to the ground so we can determine if there's any difference in height, if that makes a difference in terms of birds taking ownership of the house. We're not sure if we thought we should just cover all the variables because some of the posts are in a little deeper than others, so they're not all exact. Shala and Jean are finishing with box 3. You can see we're right near the tree line, which is great. We're wondering if being close to the tree line is going to be a more hospitable habitat. So we're wondering if these boxes are actually going to be more popular than the boxes by the road, but we will see. So now Elizabeth and I are going back to the boxes that we already measured. The distance from the whole opening to the ground. We're also going to measure the distance. For this, there's a bit of a slope on this side of the property. We're going to guesstimate the distance to the tree line so we can see if the tree line has an impact on whether there's a higher resident population than the other boxes. Okay, now we're going to measure the distance to the road, which, you know, we've been standing out here and it's not been very busy. So it might not even be a factor, but I think it's a good idea.
I was wondering if there was a plan to deal with other birds that tried to nest in the bluebird boxes.
Yep. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to train the folks that are going to be working on the habitat trail monitoring, and we're going to give them pictures and train them on the different nests of invasive bird species. And because they're invasive, you are allowed to remove those nests with the eggs. So we're not going to crush them or anything like that. We're just going to leave them outside the box in the ground. But by law, you're not, if it's say like a tree swallow or something like that, or a wren, they're protected species, so we would allow them to stay. Or we'd have to relocate the nest. But what we're
just for bluebirds.
We only want the bluebirds, everyone else out. That was a great question. What day is day 2? Yeah. So today is the 11th?
10, 11, 12!
Wow!